If you clicked on this video, odds are pretty good that you've seen my other oddly specific interior design yum videos, but this one is specifically about kitchens. If you're new here, my name is Medora. I use they, them pronouns, and I make videos about home design. If you'd like to support my channel, or if you'd like to get live one-on-one design sessions with me, go to patreon.com/MedoraKia. Those things out of the way, let's get into my oddly specific kitchen design yums. Number one is a medium to dark toned wood on the lower cabinets. If you're doing upper cabinets, sure, do wood on your upper cabinets too, but I think I have something in here specifically about upper and lower cabinets being the same. So I will leave that for later in the video. But I've very specifically been into a darker wood cabinet, not super, super dark, but like a medium to dark toned wood for cabinets. It's inherently beautiful and natural and timeless, and obviously getting custom cabinetry done in a very pretty wood is going to cost you a lot of money. So it's definitely a wealth signifier, but like, it's just gorgeous. Outside of that, it is just objectively gorgeous. And this works for, I think, any style of cabinet too, whether you're doing a shaker style or something a little bit more intricate or a more modern, I don't even know what it's called, like just a slab of plywood, but like a pretty slab of plywood. Anything like that, doesn't matter what style your cabinets are, as long as they're a beautiful wood. I forget what they're called off the top of my head, but number two is any sort of latch that looks like this. Most people probably don't want to do this on all of their cabinetry, but this would make sense specifically on lower cabinets, especially if you have, kids with their little grabby hands trying to get into cabinets. Obviously, once they get older, it's not quite as foolproof, but when they're really young, they're also a really good option for anyone who lives in an RV or a school bus or a van or a sailboat or anything like that. Because if you know anything about having a house that moves, cabinets do not stay closed, but these will stay closed. My dream home at the moment would be some sort of van, maybe like a step van or something, and I really want to have those like pull-out drawer shelf things that you find in pantries, but then put a door over it to keep all of those doors closed, and then put one of these latches on the door so that it actually stays closed. Because otherwise, especially if you're doing drawers, you need to buy the drawer slides, and you need to buy some sort of knob for all of your doors, and you need to buy a latch, and that's just so much hardware, and that gets so expensive. So if you can just buy the drawer slides for all of the drawers, and then this one latch for the door that holds all of the drawers in place, it's also more cost effective and just way prettier. Number three is something that I noticed as I was searching for this apartment. We actually did not end up getting the apartment that has this specific number three. But number three is having your main counter or prep space in the kitchen near a window. So ideally, here's the counter, you're the window, right? Counter, window, so that you can see, you have really good light. And also not having that prep space, that counter space, be directly over a dishwasher. I don't know if you've ever had a kitchen where the main counter prep space is directly over a dishwasher, but let me tell you, it is not fun, because when the dishwasher is running and it's hot out and you don't have air conditioning and you're trying to like chop veggies or something, the dishwasher steam coming up and getting all in, and maybe it's just because I have some sensory issues around wetness, so the steam is really, really not good for me, but the heat, it's unpleasant, okay? So if you are designing your own kitchen or renovating a kitchen or anything like that, try to have the main counter space not be on top of a dishwasher. Number four is having LED strip lights underneath your upper cabinets or an upper shelf or whatever you have for the uppers. Specifically when they're the cob lights that essentially just have like a diffusing layer on top of it, so it's not like individual little dots. And also specifically when they're placed towards the outer edge of the cabinet, the edge that is further from the wall, instead of putting the lights in near the corner between the bottom of the upper cabinet and the wall. Bad, good. Bad, good. Both of these things, the diffusing layer and also placing the light out further from the wall, help distribute the light more evenly, and it makes it a much more pleasant environment. And also just LED strip lights in general, I think it goes without saying that it should be a warm white, not a cool white, not a neutral white. It should be a warm white, because you are going to want to have these lights on in the evening when the upper lights are too much. But LED lights in general just give such a fantastic light, obviously when they're positioned in a way that it's indirect light. You do not want to actually be seeing the physical light strip. That's a no-no. It's really hard to describe, but it's just such a pleasant lighting experience that I highly recommend it. Number 5 is a unique yet timeless backsplash choice. I feel like a lot of tile backsplashes that I see, I won't say that they're ugly, but I don't think that they fit well into the design of the rest of the kitchen. Tile can be a really great way to add in some color and some fun and some interest, but also tile is really expensive and difficult to remove and redo if someone's renovating a kitchen. I think in a lot of cases it's really better to play it safe with your tile option and not do something like this. The one that's coming to mind in my head is like a teal fish scale tile. I get it, it's unique, it's different, it doesn't feel cohesive with the rest of the space. If you're designing a kitchen really well, you really want to follow the flow of the cabinets and the flow of like how you move around the room and like where your eyes go. And I feel like a lot of times, like big, colorful, weirdly shaped tile backsplashes just really distract from that whole flow. On a similar note, I also want to encourage you to play around with different backsplash options that are not tile. I've seen a lot of like stainless steel or brass, or honestly, maybe you can just paint your wall, call it a day, and you don't even need a backsplash. Number 6 really follows what I just said in number 5, but number 6 is when the overall design of the entire kitchen is really taken into consideration. Instead of when DIYers like choose individual finishes just because, ooh, I like brass, and ooh, I like this color, so therefore it'll just work, instead of thinking about how it'll really fit into the entire space. I've seen a lot of tiny houses actually that some of them are really good at this because they have someone who really understands how to design things, and then there's, you know, people who just are making their own house and they just DIY the entire process by thinking, ooh, I like this color, let's make that color the cabinet color. Then they choose like a copper sink for something fun, but they like don't necessarily think about how those colors might play together. And like, I feel like kitchen design can so easily become such a mess because there's so many things going on in the kitchen. Number 7 is similar to number 5, and that is unique yet timeless drawer pulls and knob choices. I feel like most of the unique ones today are very kitschy and trendy. They're not ergonomic, they're hard to clean, and honestly I feel like they distract from the rest of the kitchen. Like, sure, if you're in a rental and you can't do anything else to the kitchen, go ahead and get some knobs that like spark joy or whatever. But I promise you don't want your drawer pulls and your knobs to be the focal point of your kitchen. Number 8 is Harlequin floors instead of checkerboard floors. Checkerboards are classic, there's nothing wrong with them, but I specifically like that a Harlequin floor, which is the exact same thing as a checkerboard but on a 45-degree angle. I like that Harlequin floors incorporate some diagonal movement into a space. Those diagonals also really help with creating more of a sense of spaciousness, because if you think about sightlines, and I'm gonna pop up a diagram here, if you have a normal checkerboard flooring, the lines are going from this side of the room to this side of the room, and they're going from this side of the room to this side of the room. And now if you rotate that checkerboard make it a Harlequin, those sight lines are going from this corner of the room all the way to this corner of the room, and this corner of the room all the way to this corner of the room. And those lines, because of, you know, the Pythagorean theorem, these lines are longer than these lines. So it makes your space feel bigger. And if you're renting, that doesn't mean that you can't do this one. It just means that you might want to look for like a rug or something like that that has this pattern on it. Number 9 is unique hand towels that are not kitschy. It's really easy to find a kitschy hand towel, something with like a cute little saying on it or like a little cartoony illustration thing. But I'm talking about like fun, unique hand towels that are really playful with their use of color and shapes and patterns and stuff like that. I'll pop up a few here that I've really been eyeing recently. I also love that this is much more affordable than most of the things on this list because kitchens in general are just incredibly expensive, and it's also renter friendly because let's be honest, most of us are not renovating our kitchens anytime soon. Number 10 is having an aloe vera plant right next to your stove or oven or range or whatever you call it, because it's a good natural way to treat burns. It has a really great cooling effect, which I can attest works wonders when you pour boiling water all over your hand. And it also has like plant medicine. You know, I don't know the science of all of that, but it's really good for burns. I burned the shit out of this hand once and you can't see anything now. There's nothing impacting the function of my hand. So it healed very well, and I definitely attribute at least some of that to the fact that I had an aloe plant right next to the stove. And then as a bonus, like I mentioned in a recent video, I really love having a full utensil crock to remind me of my connectedness to all of humanity through the act of preparing food. So go check out that video, and if you'd like to support this channel, head over to patreon.com/medorakia.